This time, it's gonna talk about the centroid of a line. If a line segment on a rod lies between the x and y plane, and it can be described by the thin curve y is equals to the function of x, as it is shown in the figure 9 to 6a, then the centroid can be determined from the x bar is equals to the integral of the x element dl over integral of dl. Same through with the y bar, which is equal to the integral of the y element dl over integral of dl. Here, the length of the differential element is given by the Pythagorean theorem. dl is equal to the square root of the quantity dx squared plus the quantity of dy squared, which can be also written on two forms. So, nakadepende yan when in terms of x tayo or y. So, una natin dito, we have dl is equals to the square root of the quantity of dx over dx squared d times dx squared plus the quantity of dy over dx squared times dx squared. So we come up with a final equation which is equal to the quantity of square root of the 1 plus dy over dx squared dx. So next naman, when in terms of y tayo, we have dl is equals to the square root of dx over dy squared times the dy squared plus the quantity of dy over dy squared times dy squared. So we have this final equation which is equal to the quantity of the square root of the quantity dx over dy squared plus 1 dy. So bakit, no? Bakit tayo may dalawang equation dito? So sinabi dito that either of the two expression can be used. However, for the application, the one that will result into a simple integration should be selected, no? Consider natin dito yung figure 9 to 6b natin, defined by the y is equals to 2x squared. Therefore, the length of the element natin is given by the dl is equals to square root of 1 plus dy over dx squared dx. So bakit, no? Kasi in terms of x ang ginamit natin dito. And since the derivative of 2x squared is equals to 4x, plug in lang natin ito siya or substitute on our equation, no? dl is equals to the square root of 1 plus 4x squared dx. Now, ngayon, makukuha natin yung centroid natin on the x element and the y element using the integration, which is diniscuss natin yung pinakaunang equation natin, which is given by the x bar is equals to the integral of the x element dl over integral of dl. Same true with the y bar. Important points. The centroid represents the geometric center of a body. This point coincides with the center of a mass only if the material composing the body is in uniform or homogeneous. And number two, formulas used to locate the center of the gravity or the centroid natin simply represent a balance, no, between the sum of moments of all the parts of the system and including its resultant. Then in some cases naman, no, ang centered natin is hindi daw makikita on the object. As it's on the case of the ring naman, where the centroid is at center. Also, this point will be on any axis of symmetry for the body, as you can see on the figure 9 to 7. Now this time, discuss natin yung procedure for analysis. So kailangan talaga ito so that magkakaroon tayo, no, ng tinatawag natin ba na mas clear na pag-analyze doon sa ating given problems natin, no? So, unahin natin dito for the differential element. So, select an appropriate coordinate system, sinabi dito, no? And specifically, the coordinate axis. And then, choose a differential element for integration. So, ayun, kailangan talaga no na makita natin muna yung graph so that we would able to identify kung saan ba doon, no, ng parts ng system ang isosolve natin, no? And then next naman is for the lines, for the differential line segment is given on dl, represented by dl. And for the areas naman, we have dA, and for the volume, we have dV. So, alam natin that for the dA, no, for the areas of the element, we have that finite length and differential width. And for the volume naman, we have that finite radius, no, and differential thickness. Then after that, no, locate natin yung element so that it touches, no, the arbitrary points. Ano ba yung mga arbitrary points natin? It can be on the x, y, and z. And on the curves defining the boundary of the shape. And for the size and moments arms naman natin, syempre express muna natin una if it is on length, dl, area, dA, or in volume, dV of the element. No, in terms of describing the curve. So ayun nga, babalikan natin, no? Titingnan muna natin yung graph natin, no? And then express the moments arms and the x, y, z elements, no, for the centroid or the center. So that ma-describe natin, no, we would able to identify, no, kung saan doon yung parte na isosolve natin. And then next naman for integration, syempre the formulation. Tandaan natin yung formulation natin for the x, y, and z element. Depende yan if on the length ba siya, area, or in the element of volume. No? So makikita natin yan or our equations 9 to 1 through the equation 9 to 5. Ayun. No, ayun magagamit. Do not worry guys kasi magagamit naman natin yan mamaya on our example. No, ngayon naman, express the function in the integral in terms of the same variable. So, bakit in the same variable tayo, guys? So that when it comes to solving, on integrating tayo, no, mas mapapadali sa atin to solve. Kasi nga, no, naka-same variable na siya. No, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng partial integration dyan. No? And then for the limits no sinabi dito of the integral are defined from the two extreme locations of the elements no of the differential thickness so that when the elements are summed no ayun na pag nakuha natin yung total no total integration na perform natin no yun makakuha natin kung saan ba yung covered na region and we would able to identify the area or the length or even the volume of that element. Para mas maintindihan natin yung mga pinagdi-discuss natin ng mga equation kanina at the same time yung mga important points natin and the procedure for analysis. So magkakaroon tayo dito ng mga example problems. Okay, una natin dito we have locate the centroid of the rod bent into the shape of a parabolic arc as shown in figure 9 to 8. Ayun. So solution natin we have the differential element no is shown in figure 9.8 no and for the area and moment arc so tandaan natin yung diniscuss nga natin kanina na Pythagorean theorem no dx and dy dl is equals to square root of the quantity of dx squared plus the quantity of dy squared. So mag-come up tayo ng simple equation no which is square root of the dx over dy squared plus 1 dy. So since 'di ba makita natin sa ating figure 'di ba that our the rod there ang kanyang what we call this one equation is given by the x is equals to y squared no since x is equals to y squared so derivative niyan is 2y so therefore expressing dl in terms of y and dy kasi nga in terms of y tayo dito ginamit natin no dl now is equals to square root of the quantity of 2y squared plus 1 dy. Okay, ngayon, punta tayo sa integration. So, kung natatandaan ninyo, yung diniscuss nga natin kanina, no, about the x bar in the y bar, ayun. So, una muna natin, tingnan natin yung figure natin. We have, no, ayun, saan ba siya? Meron tayong, makikita natin yung lower and higher limit natin. So, nagsimula sa 0, papuntang 1. So, sa y natin na, y, titingnan natin yan. Okay. Ayun, sige. Paano na natin? Discuss natin to. So, x bar is equals to the integral of the x element dl over integral of dl is equals to integral no of the x uh, square root of, alam natin that ang dl natin, di ba, kanina is equals to square root of 4y squared plus 1 dy. Okay, so plug lang natin. Ayun. So, alam natin that our x is equals to y squared. So, bakit natin in terms of y to siya? So that kung mag-integrate tayo, hindi tayo mahihirapan kasi nga they are on the same variable na. So, ayun, come up into final equation natin which is equals to the integral of the y squared square root of 4y squared plus 1 dy on the higher lower limit 0 and 1 no and over square root of 4y squared plus 1 dy with the higher and lower limit natin which is 0 and 1. So ayun, plug natin sa calculator natin no. Ayun, ano nga 'yon? Ayun. 0. Ayun. Ayun. So ayun, we come up on the final answer which is equals to 0.41 meters. Okay, for the y ano naman tayo for the y bar or the y element natin is given by the integration of the y integral of the y element dl over integral of dl is equals to dy square root of y 4y squared plus 1 dy. So ba yun, yung dl natin, no, substitute lang natin dyan. Since naka-y naman yan, no, so hindi na natin siya papalitan pa ng any variable dyan kasi nga naka-y na siya. So ayun na lang, plug na lang natin siya sa calculator natin kung lalabas ba. So, yun, importante talaga sa atin guys, magdala tayo always ng calculator. Kumbaga yun, panangga natin to sa gera. Ayun. So, ayun, 0.574 meters. 0.574 rather, the answer. So, ayun, nakuha natin that the x and y natin lies on 0.41 meters and 0.57 574 meters. Pero kailangan no, sabi dito no, the results of the C or the centroid will be reasonable when they are plotted on our figure. So alon, balikan natin ang figure natin, naka-plot siya kung saan talaga yung center natin. Okay, discuss tayo sa pangalawang example natin, no? This time parang mas kakaiba siya. No, tingnan natin, locate the centroid of the circular wire segment shown in the figure 9 to 9. Okay. So alam natin, tingnan natin yung figure pa lang natin. It is a polar coordinates, right? Na-discuss na natin yung kung as far as you remember, no, yung doon sa ating integral calculus, no? Since the arc is circular, yun, kaya nga gagamitin natin ito yung polar coordinates. So, ayun guys, wala man natin to siya na-discuss kanina, but yeah, same lang pa din yung gagamitin natin na formula. Pero ibahin lang natin yung mga variables natin dito. So ayun, a differential circular arc is selected on the figure. Ayun nga, sinabi ko kanina. And lies siya on the curve r and theta. Okay. So the length of differential elements, so same lang yan sila. dl is equals to dr d theta. And the centroid is located at the x element which is on r cosine theta. And for the y naman, alam natin that y, di ba? Sine yan siya and x is cosine. So r sine theta. So, direct integration na tayo dito guys, no? Kasi nga nakuha naman natin yung mga equivalent niya ng DL natin at saka at the same time sa Y at saka X element. So, on the X bar, no, applying the equation 9 to 5, sinabi ko nga kanina, even though na hindi natin to siya na-discuss, but yet, pag alam lang natin yung formula natin, so doon lang, no, i-apply lang natin yun siya. Okay, so ito, so pag titingnan natin, 'di ba, on our before tayo magdi-discuss 'to, pag titingnan natin yung graph natin, nasa ano siya, 'di ba? Sige, when talking about circular, no, mga circular coordinates natin. So nasa 0 and pi over 2. Ano ba yung pi over 2 natin? Syempre, 90 yan siya, 'di ba? So ayun, so ang makuha natin yung lower and higher limit natin on 0 and pi over 2. Since bakit hindi 1, hindi 2 yung nilagay natin dito? Kasi nga babalikan natin ang ating problem ay polar coordinates. So ayun. So x bar is equals to ayun, integral of the x element dl over integral dl is equals to the integral of the r. So alam natin that ating what we call this one, ang x natin, 'di ba sinabi ko kanina, r cosine theta. Okay, so ayun, times r d theta over integral of the r d theta, no, which is on the higher lower limit natin na 0 and pi over 2. So ayun, i-integrate lang natin siya, pero ngayon pwede naman hindi ka magagamit ng calculator dito kasi medyo madali lang naman din. Okay, so ano bang integral ng cosine theta? So palabas natin yung r. Bakit nakapalabas yung r? Kasi nag-serve yan as constant natin, no? So r squared palabas natin, no? So cosine theta na lang. Integral niyan is sine. So kunin natin yung lower and higher limit niyan. So equivalent to yan siya sa 1, no? So r squared na lang. R squared over r. Palabas din yung r natin sa baba, no? Kasi nga constant natin yan. D theta. So alam natin yan is that it will equivalent to r pi over 2. So cancel lang natin, no, yung r. So maiwan natin is that r na lang. So ayun, yung final answer natin is equals to 2r over pi. Paano yan nangyari? So, ayun. Something to do with the algebra lang. Ayun. So, for the y bar naman natin, guys, so we have is equals to integral of y element dl over integral of dl. So, ayun, para ang same lang pa din. Pero, but this time, we are using sine. Kasi nga, y, ano ba yung y natin kanina? Babalikan natin, y is equals to r sine theta. So, substitute natin. And ang dl natin dito, palitan lang din natin. That is equivalent to r d theta. Ayun. At saka yung lower high limits natin which is pi over 2 and 0. So ayun. Alam natin that 'di ba? No, the integration of sine natin is cosine. Ayun. Then ayun, meron naman tayong higher and lower limit. So substitute lang natin that then it will result into 2 yun 2r over pi. O, di ba? Madali lang. So, ayun, as expected, the two coordinates are numerically the same due to the symmetry of the wire. Bakit to siya the same? Kasi nga, ang wire natin are symmetrical. Ayun, symmetrical. So, makita talaga natin yung center natin. And, magiging what we call this one, no? Reasonable ito if i-plot natin yung ating centroid. Saan ba? Ayun, as you can see in the figure. Okay. So, thank you.